Hello everybody, I'm Mrs. Geeta Fatarfekar. I taught here in GS Medical College and KM Hospital at the Department of Biochemistry, and it is my great pleasure under the auspices of Dr.M.V.L.Kothari, Chair and Division of Medical Humanities, to invite Dr. Sucheta Dandekar for an interview. Welcome back to your Karma Bhumi. You had joined GS Medical College and KM Hospital in 1989, and you retired in 2019 as Professor and Head, Department of Biochemistry, after a very fruitful 30 years. Could you please tell us about your journey to becoming a medical teacher and researcher?
Thank you, Geeta. I would like to thank Dr.M.V.L.Kothari, Chair, for giving me this opportunity to be here. And yes, my journey started in 1989, but I think this Parel area for me has been with me since 1978, because I joined for my MSc at Hafkin Institute, and then I went on to do my PhD at the NIRRH. And I left only in 1982. So the Parel area I was in this Parel area very much from 1978 to about 1982. And then I went on, of course, so many of my friends were doing their MSc in KEM. So I was always here in KEM. In fact, half the time I was in this premises. But never did I think that I would, be back here as staff. Then I went on to join Wilson College from 83 to about 89. When the ad in the papers, I saw this ad for a lecturer's post here, and that's when I joined KEM. So in brief, I have been teaching since 1983, and it's been quite an experience. When I joined KEM as a lecturer, it was a different kind of a mahal, but where we had Dr. Potnis as our head, and I remember that he was a very strict head, and all of us used to be afraid to go to his room. But then slowly and steadily we sort of got over that situation, and then he is the one I always remember who started the tea club. Yes. And we used to wait for the 2 o'clock to happen and have tea together. So what I'm trying to say is, besides teaching, besides being a part of the teaching program, etc., biochemistry has always had its fun moments. And I think right from those days, in fact, Dr. Tangsare's time, that is what I remember, not ever has any one lecture been postponed or not taken. In fact, in biochemistry, we always were proud of the fact that nothing ever, there was no break in any of the teaching schedules that were there. And I think you're witness to the fact, even if some trains were held up and that the person who was going to take a class could not come, somehow, even without the mobiles, we knew that this person has not entered the class, and someone would enter the class and take the lecture. So that is what, that is a tradition that was set by our ancestors in a way, right from Dr. Anjaria's time to Dr. Tangsare, followed by Dr. Potnis. And that is what all of us together also tried to do when I was there as head.
Yes. Okay. The Best Teacher Award was conferred on you by MUHS, which means that academics is very close to your heart. So would you like to tell us something about that?
Actually, I didn't understand that teaching is an art and it is also a science. And when I first started teaching, I just taught, and that my head, Dr. Jaffer, at that time in Wilson College had said, Sucheta, stand in front of the mirror and watch yourself and see your facial expressions. So that time we didn't know the science behind all this. But we knew so much that we had to sort of use the right kind of expression, because ultimately verbal and non-verbal communication go a long way. And that is what we tried to do at that particular time. And then I joined KM, and I realized that there was a system in place. There was something like a national teachers training program. And Dr. Zoglekar then, she was head of physiology. She was running something, I don't think the MEU was there, but there was a education training program that was already on, and people were going all the time to NTCC and things like that. And hardly 1 year down, I was desperate to go and to do it. And that's when I told Zoglekar madam that, madam, the next time there is a vacancy, I would like to go. And there were calls from Pondicherry, Jipmore, and there were calls from Maulana Azad, NTTC. And somehow I got selected in Maulana Azad, NTTC. And I remember Dr. Pandit, who was the then HOD, community medicine, and me. The two of us went to Delhi to do it. So that was my first exposure to teaching technology and education. And I went there. And let me tell you, at that time, I think it must have been 1990. And my son must have been hardly 3 or 4 years old at that time. And of course, my daughter was 7. So why am I telling you this? Because without a support system, and without the fact that my in-laws were there to say, you have to go for 10 days, do it, and we are there. And I know that they, would look after the children as well. Not only that, by that time, I think in a lot before, I had lost my father, so my mother used to be alone because my brother had moved to Abu Dhabi. And my mother, I think my family is an excellent example where the in-laws and my mother got along so well that my in-laws always felt very comfortable if my mother would be there in the house to look after everything. So it was a very good deal in a way where we sort of, everyone supported what I wanted to do. And then, of course, I went on to do this technology, this medical education technology, and that I think helped me to get into the unit, the medical education unit. And the deans have always been supportive. I think I have seen deans since Dr. GBP's time. You remember the aura of Sir, and then after Sir there was so many deans, and all of them we have not a single dean do I feel that, oh my God, what do I do now? I hope things go well. So I've had a good association with all the deans, and with the deans, I remember Dr. Kothari, and I don't remember Lopa madam. I remember the lunches that we would have in anatomy, and very fondly, because anything that you wanted to discuss, anything that was troubling you, somehow these two people, had the knack of sort of reading your mind or reading what is going on with you. And the lunch would be there, and sometimes I would go down with my dabba, and then I remember a lot of vegetables. No rice, no wheat. That was the norm.
No cereals.
Yes.
Sir had that thing about no cereals.
No cereals, yes. And with the food, there used to be a lot of gelling and and I think, what we talk about communities of practice, what we talk about coming together, that is what slowly we learned. And later on, Dandekar madam, I would like to also remember, and along with that also Dr. Bapat sir. And Dandekar madam, at that time, I think Shidori was being looked after by her. And before the Shidori, the foundation day celebrations used to be looked after by her. And she called me one day and she said, you are the lecturer, right? But I need now someone who will look after a few things as far as this foundation day is concerned and the awards and all that. Would you like to help me? And I thought, oh, what a lovely chance to be, with this. I mean, I always had oh my God, what do I go and talk to her about? And that kind of a feeling, and that was my first introduction to Dandekar madam. And she literally held my hand and explained every small thing, right from making the card. And one fine day, the logo that we have, I was going to, and the lettering that we had used to be in black and in red. So I said, Madam, let's make it the colorful person that I am. I wanted to change the color. She said, no, Sucheta. Red and this maroon red is our house color. And KM, this is the color that we stand for. So don't ever change this color. And whatever anyone does, and any artist may change it, but you are not going to, you have to bring it back to this color. So that is when I came to know that this maroon red is the KM's house color, and this is our logo that all of us stand for, not for self, but for God. So,
yeah. Would you like to tell us something about...
Wait. I want you to complete about your work you did as Shidori, as you did for Foundation Day. And before that, you complete about all your FEMA you went on. Since you are on this,
okay,
let go all that detail I want.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Okay.
That's the reason why I usually accompany.
Yeah. Yes, of course. So my journey for foundation celebrations, I think, started in 1991 when I was a lecturer. And then I started helping Madam with the card. Because the card had to be sent to the PRO in the head office, and it had to be okayed by the PRO. And that was a huge task, to get done. And she said, I'm so happy that there is someone who can go there to the head office and keep getting this done. And that is what we started doing. I started doing just that much in the beginning. And in between, of course, I got transferred to Nair, but that is another story. We'll talk about it a little later. But when I was back again, I was in 1995 in KEM as associate professor. As a professor, I continued this foundation day. And that time, Madam put the whole responsibility of make the seating arrangement of the foundation day, contacting the people who are on the card, not the people themselves, but you had to contact their PAs, because they had to do a pencil entry into their diaries. Because if the foundation day was not mentioned in the diaries, because remember, see, we have 22nd January. So the next year's diary would not be, these are small things that I'm saying, because the next year's diary was never with the PAs. And we were trying to get their date fixed in the month of November. So they would say, Madam, आता अजून diary नहीं आली. मग आम्ही आता काय करू? So I would say, no, there is that, and then there would be one month extra in each one's diary. So I think there were quite a few people who I had to go physically and show that extra small chota sa next calendar, next year's calendar, and say, hey, baga, all diaries have this one small extra month. So please circle January 22nd. Sometimes January 22nd would come on a Sunday. So we would have it on a day later. So these are small, small things. I mean, I can't thank this situation that we are in enough to be able to remember and go back nostalgia to small things that we learned on the job, to ensure that all the dignitaries came to our function and none of the dignitaries were ever feeling bad or, were slighted because there was a small mistake in our protocol. So madam, and all credit, due credit to madam, she put all her trust and faith in me. She said, तू करणार, तू नीट करणार. म्हटलं मॅडम तुम्ही पण फोन करा जरा बिकॉज यू आर हेड अँड इट विल मे बी बेटर अँड शी सेड नो I don't think I should do that. I have told you to do it, you will do it and you will complete it. So that is the way it went. Then madam was also looking after the Shidori. It was a program that I think Dr. Piyush Shah and so many other stalwarts had put into place, and they had named it already Shidori by the time I joined. And Umi, Urmila Thatte, who I knew even before because I knew Urmila Thatte's mother, Madam Jamalabad, used to teach maths in Wilson College when I taught there. And actually Umi's mother and I were very good friends, and they used to stay at Worli, I remember, and Umi's mother would pick me up from, would always from all the functions. I would go to Wilson on my own, but she would drop me always home in the night. So that is how I knew of Umi, and I knew how her sons used to be with Madam quite often when Nomi used to, send her to the mother's house. So that is how I knew her. And slowly, Madam Dahanukar handed over the reins of Shidori to Urmila and to me. And because Urmila felt that she needed someone from the first year to help with this whole Shidori, because that is when the students come and we start the mentoring process at that time. So I think this must have been 1996 or 1997 that Urmila and I started looking after it. And I remember the whole small office used to be in ARC at that time, because Urmila used to be in ARC, and there was this person called Anthony. I remember him also, who would do all the documentation for us and tell us, and then we had 3 Shidoris, Shidori 1, 2, 3. And actually, this ATCOM module and that NMC and all this that is happening now, because Dr. Avinash Supe was also there, was a part of that team, the whole ATCOM and everything has a genesis in our Shidori. It's because quite a lot of the ethics and the communication skills and all this that we used to have in Shidori has been, I'm not saying, it has sort of taken off from there. And it is very much there. So what I'm trying to say is whatever we've done and implemented and all this is, as you rightly said in the beginning, has been due to this Karma Bhumi. It is this KM which has, it is not these individuals, it is not me, it is not Supe, it is not Urmila and all of us. It is our KM which helped us and do this. So I will never sort of say that it was me who did it. It is this institution that helped us to do it. And always remember this, these twin institutions. I get goosebumps even when I think of it and I talk about it. Because KEM Hospital and St. GS Medical College has a history which is way back. And if all of us sort of, think back and have that in mind, we will all go a long way. And that is what happened as far as the Shidori is concerned. And this, taking it all up right up to the national level. I'm not saying that there may not have been other institutions all over India who were also doing something like this. It's possible. But our ATCOM and our ideas as far as the foundation is concerned have a genesis as far as KEM is concerned. Yeah. We were first earlier talking about the National Teachers Training Program. Then I got inducted into the MEU. I started doing all the courses. I started helping with conducting all the courses that were happening there. We had a certificate course that was happening. And at that time, Supe had gone for FAMA. And there were many people who went. But by that time, at home, my in-laws had aged. And though I wanted to do FAMA, I felt that the family situation earlier, Supe, I think, did it in 2002 or something. So we knew that there was this thing called FAMA. And he was, of course, saying that who wants to go next? Give me your names. But the situation at family, it was for me payback time at home. I could not possibly at that time say, I want to now go away somewhere for about a whole month, leaving the children and leaving everything the way it is. So though Supe used to tell us, I said, no, Supe, I don't think now my family situation is that, I can just work out. 2-3 days for exams, 2-3 days for here or there, it was all right. And for me, I felt for all that my in-laws and my mother did, it was sort of payback time. So I didn't take up anything till I think 2009, 2010. 2009, the applications opened again, and I was in a situation where I could take it up. And I applied. I applied in 2009 and I was waitlisted. So that was fine. I didn't feel too bad about it. But I think I was somewhere and a call came from the US saying that, now we have a vacancy. Why don't you come? And you have to fly the next week. And I didn't even have a US visa. So how could I fly the next week? So I said, I'm sorry, I have to defer this year. So then they said that if you apply again, it will be treated as a new application. But that was a chance I took. Because by that time, I think the children were also, 10, 12. My daughter had already got into medicine, and she was also in Sion Hospital. She did her MBBS from Sion. And my son was, I think, doing his engineering. So it was an okay thing for me. But I applied. I didn't give up. One thing is there. Somewhere I always had the grit and I applied again. And that time I went to the dean then. And who else could I go to for a second recommendation? Dr. Lopa Mehta. Madam was at that time, I think, ma'am, were you in the head of, no. But whatever said and done, Madam gave me the the second recommendation that was required for FAMA. And I think, I don't remember who, but the dean then also then recommended me, and I got into FAMA. And so that is how my journey in education and in health professions education, and that stood me in good stead till now, because IRA's Lucknow Medical College that I'm associated with now, they have, because the vice chancellor and in a way the person who sort of oversees the whole institute has been a GSMC FAMA fellow. She is a biochemist. So she knows me for the last 30 years. She and her husband, both are biochemists. So they know me for the last 30 years now, ever since I came into medical college and medical school teaching. And for a long time now, they've said that this is what we want to further in our institute. And so I am doing something that I enjoy doing even now.
Can we talk more about your pet subject, and that is your lab, because you're also in charge of all the labs.
Yes.
And you thought about bridging the gap and starting a meaningful dialogue between laboratory, the personnel, the persons in charge, and the clinicians. And
Yes.
how much effort did you have to take to set up the labs here in KM?
See, what happened was when I joined, the Central Clinical Laboratory, the CCBL, was there in place. However, the emergency labs were starting, so we had the emergency lab, and technology was changing. Because we, right from those huge machines that were there, and where every small thing had to be loaded, we were going into complete automation. Automation not only as far as biochemistry was concerned, but and also we were now getting small equipment for electrolyte analysis. We grew up with what were like flame photometers, etc., for electrolyte analysis. And times things changed, and then there was this ion selective electrode that was in the market, and the whole reference ranges changed, the normal ranges changed. The clinicians' mindsets had to be changed, because we whatever normal range that we were giving for say electrolytes for a flame photometer altered when it came to ion selective electrode and the analysis. So we needed to change the mindset, not only of our people who are working in the laboratory, but of the people who are going to see the report, and say from now on, please look at what is in the bracket, because we take this for granted and we say that this is the normal value, but we are now shifting from that flame photometer and the manual instruments. We are now shifting to totally automation. So right from training the technical staff, right from telling the clinicians that this would change, we had to know, and we also had to have the right quality control in place. I'm not saying, I've had my issues with all the clinicians. We've had our, fights, literal fights, saying, what is your CCBL dishing out? But in spite of all that, we have always seen to it that, we could sort of say that, look, this is what it may be. Okay, let us sit across the table. Let us find out, is it possible that there is something wrong with our QS? Is it something wrong with the system? Is there something wrong with the QC? Is there something wrong with our QC that we are adding, the quality controls that we are putting on the machine? So it was a good, healthy dialogue where we never said that, no, we are always right. We said, yes, there could be a problem, but let us sit across and solve it. So with that, slowly, about, I think, 17, 18 years ago, Dr. Shirsagar was there at that time. And I don't know which years, were we celebrating 75 years? It was, I think, 75 years of KM we were celebrating. And Dr. Shirsagar at that time said, let's bring out a compendium of courses. Each department will tell what course you will conduct other than the teaching. And we thought we would conduct a good clinical laboratory practices certificate course. That is what started this, with the lab, knowing that so many things can go wrong, understanding the whole situation. I went and did the NABL, I did the National Accreditations Laboratories course. And then I understood that there is so much that needs to be disseminated to the people also. And, people will teach our residents, we will teach our students. But what about the lab people? They are always, bevaras sort of, because people feel that they will learn on the job. Or why should we waste money on them? Why should we do anything for them? And that is when we opened up this course for people who are on there. And we opened it up to all the lab people, along with the students, along with everyone. So we did not say that this is only for our, for the teachers and to these people. We said it is open and let everyone be on the same platform. Let the technical staff sit with the other people also who want to learn. And that was my aim when I sort of proposed the course. And we said, anyone who is doing, their BScs, their MScs, their MDs, their DMLT are open to come. And we got sponsorship officially, properly documented. We took money from people. We took money from people, and it was put into our Department Development Fund, DDF, very, very well documented and audited. And we then, because of this, we could keep our fees low. We kept the fees only 1,000 rupees. We started with only 400 and 500, remember?
Yes.
Geeta has been there with me throughout. So this whole journey she's seen. So 300, 400 rupees people. And then the other lab people, the students who wanted to sponsor themselves, we even made it 50% for them, who people who had no jobs. And the others could sort of avail of it. And that is how we used to have at least 60 people at one time. And we started doing this is my FAMER learning, whatever, or my learning from education, how you mix and match everything that you learn. That time, we started making them do a small project related to the lab. So we said, now go back and do only one small thing. Set only one small thing right in your lab and come back and tell us about it. Just 2-3 slides. And that is what they started doing.
And I remember at that time, our clinicians were called to take certain courses so that they also get to know what the difficulties the lab faces, and the lab personnel come to know what are the expectations of the clinicians. So we did have some of our clinicians coming in to take small courses on this and discuss cases.
So we had someone coming in the pre-analytical phase and the post-analytical phase. And the analytical, of course, we had all the lab people coming in. And the pre-analytical, the clinicians would come and say, see, this is what happened. And it used to be a fun situation. So yes, thank you for reminding me about that, Geeta. Yeah.
Do you remember any of our students who did the master's program and who were your students for PhD? You are a PhD guide over here who have, brought glory to our institute.
Oh yeah, there are so many of them that I've lost touch. I think most of our people. I think KEM is a Shipka. It is our department, of course, there. But anyone, and they have now in all the companies, Abbott, Piramal, and Beckman Coulter, you name any of the companies that are there, not just India but abroad, we have our students. We have our students in very, very good research positions in the US also. And some of them did their MScs with us, some of them did their PhDs with me, or with the department. And all of them have really flourished. And it is a moment of pride to see how well all of them are doing. So when I look back, there is this feeling of warmth and happiness, and I feel very contented with the situation that I am in right now, because it's been such a happy journey as far as academics is concerned. We taught with fervor, we taught with a lot of dedication. I mean, everyone does, but yes, when I think back about myself and our team as the department, and then the research, maybe our department was not as well equipped with the instrumentation and with the machines that are now required to say do genetic the polymorphism and so many other studies. But we are blessed to be in a situation where we have so many wonderful, wonderful research institutes around us. So, be it HAFKIN, be it Tata Cancer Research, be it NIRH, which is now changed to NIRCH, National Institute for Reproductive Health and Child Health, and Child Health is CH. It is. So, be it NIRH, CH, or be it IIT Bombay. So all these institutions, they were so happy to collaborate with us, and that is when our students could go and work with them, and our students got exposed to the best state-of-the-art technology as far as the lab works were concerned, and that is when they also benefited, and we benefited because of this proximity. So I always feel that this place where we are in, is a hub for so much good work that all of us can do. And coming back, when we're coming back to this, not just this compendium, I remember at that particular time, because we were celebrating 75 years, we had the President of India's visit. Those
Yes.
remember?
Very much.
And at that time, we had no mobiles. I remember Dr. Menon, the HOD endocrinology, that she was the only one who had a mobile.
Yes.
Menon madam. And Shirsagar madam, I think because she was the dean, was given some instrument from the corporation. So in the whole institute, I think there were only 2 mobiles. So how to coordinate? Because as per protocol, the AMC, that time Dr. Kunte, Mr. Kunte was the AMC at that time. So the stage was there, the tennis court was dismantled, and I remember that on the tennis court we had made all the arrangements and everyone. And the dogs were to come, so many things to happen.
I remember we were all assembled in the MLT so that the dogs could take a round. All the staff was in the MLT for some time. And the dogs could take a round, and the talk was that there was a totally separate water closet for the president, which was to be made on the ground. So that was the talk, that he cannot visit any of our toilets. There has to be a separate water closet only for him.
Yes.
And that, those preparations were going on, and it was such a huge thing that the President of India is coming to our institute. It was a feather in the cap for everybody.
Yes.
And I remember you just running around.
But at that time, then Menon madam gave me her phone, because and all of us were sitting. I think Lopa madam was there, Kothari sir was there. All of us were there in the dean's room, in the dean's chamber, because Shirsagar madam had to go to receive the president at the airport, and there was no way that she and the AMC both went. And then but then we had to know that he's coming, so that the road at the back, that was the main gateway that was labeled. Not this main road, the road, the HAFKIN road. So you will not believe, the whole road in about 2 weeks' time got retarred. And it became a road chakachak without the speed breakers and everything.
Yes. And plants. And plants on the footpath. Yes.
And because that convoy
Yes.
would come down that way. And so Menon madam would send her resident, or I think Venkatesh also was there. At that time, from endocrinology, because then Venkatesh used to be the phone, the fellow who would be running around between madam and me. and tell me what was going to happen, and when the president is going to come in. So that is the president's visit that I remember very clearly. With not just because I want to keep mentioning Madam Lopa Madam because she's here and I want to sort of put her on a high pedestal, but I just want to say here that she, without making any big thing about anything, she was always there for anyone who needed to go and talk. Kothari sir and Madam. And in their quiet demeanor, ये क्यों किया ऐसा भी नहीं और तुम ऐसा करो ऐसा भी नहीं. Never ever have I seen her do this. I am like that. I will say, why? No, or this. But they have always been just very, I don't know, the right adjective is not coming to my mind just now, but just telling us in a very subtle way what has to be done and what doesn't have to be done. So, the president's visit. After the president's visit, I think we had Dr. Oak celebrating the Marathi word Sahasra Chandra. Sahasra Chandra, where we invited all our living family members, that is from each department, family members in the sense our teachers and our faculty to be felicitated. And that is what we did, and we invited, I think Dr. Billy Moria, Dr. Tangsare were, our institute had alumni, and they were also, had been our teachers. Actually, Dr. Tangsare, Dr. Potnes, Dr. Billy Moria had taught us.
Yes.
So we were very happy that we could bring them, and Dr. B.S. Kulkarni. We should never ever forget Dr. B.S. Kulkarni, who was the lab person and who was the person who brought this our lab, the CCBL, into what it is now. I mean, that the foundation was laid by Dr. Kulkarni. In fact, he was so indispensable to biochemistry that actually officially we were supposed to have only 2 professor posts. But a special post was created for Dr. B.S. Kulkarni, and that post was in biochemistry. And that is when there was a time when someone wanted to maybe not have the lab with us and things like that. I realized that we would also lose a post. When we fought and we said no, biochemistry is one who is going to look after all this, and we're not going to give up. So Dr. Kulkarni also, by that time I think he was in his 90s, and Dr. Rani from our department went all the way to Dombivli and got Sir to be with us. And but then last minute I think he could not come because of ill health. But we saw to it that one person from our department, that Dr. Rani, went and felicitated him in person. So it is a good heritage. It is a good feeling that somewhere we remembered the people who were with us and who taught us and who helped us be what we are. And then, of course, there was the 90 years. 90 years, I think Supe was with us. So I call him Supe because, he's just 1 year older than me. So I don't want to call him Supe sir. So Supe was there. In fact, when we were in his room, I had to really control myself and say sir, or say, Dr. Supe, would you do this in front of other people, because I didn't want to sort of, in a way, that's the way we are taught, and not to belittle his chair and the position that he was in by that time. But Supe at that time made us make videos each department. He made us do a white paper kind of a thing where we not only talked about what we have done so far, but we also set a vision for ourselves, a vision forward. And I remember, but that set all our, the departments again abuzz with so much work and activity, where we would have meetings regularly in the department to say, what can we do, how can we do, and how can we showcase our subject as well. And so that was a very good moment at that time. Personally speaking, at that time also a lot of changes happened in my life also. My son went away to the US. My daughter did her MD in community medicine from Nair, and then she got married. And she has now 2 children, one who's 10 now, right now, and a son who's 6. And my sons also got married. And he has a 3-year-old daughter now, one more on the way. You didn't know this? So there are so many things that happen personally as far as I'm concerned also. But incidentally, I just want to say this. Somehow, I just don't know, by coincidence, my son-in-law, who did his MD in general medicine from Aurangabad, because he wanted to be with my daughter, he came to Mumbai, and he wanted to do neurology always. And he appeared for the super specialty exam. And as luck, or as I don't know what would have it, he got admission in for DM Neuro in KEM. So, my son-in-law also joined KEM. And then my daughter-in-law happens to be, she did her physiotherapy also from KEM. And this is not at all it just happened. It's just destiny that the 2 of my in-laws are from KEM. So that is, personally speaking.
You have a KM in the family, and you have a family in KM.
Yes. Well, so well said. Only you could say that the way you did. So that is it. And of course, I've talked about my in-laws, I've talked about my mother, I've talked about my children. But let me tell you that my husband also, who's a structural engineer and who happens to be M.Tech from IIT Bombay in structural engineering, has been the person who has let me be who I am and what I am. So I think I should mention Prakash here. And that is when, when I retired, I felt that we should do something as far as the department was concerned. And I was wondering what I could do. And once I think Madam and Nima and, in different times, we realized that, the awards, during Foundation Day, I used to be the one who used to read out the awards.
Yes.
You were there for the Marathi and I was there for the English, and we would be practicing and we would be, doing these award readings. And I realized that we have the R.K. Anjaria Prize and the Dr. Tangsare Prize for our MSc students. But there was no prize for biochemistry MBBS student, a boy or girl, a student who stood first in biochemistry at the university level, but from KEM. There was no such prize. And I always used to feel, so each department is announcing a prize. There was these general prizes, yes, Shirvalkar Prize and all that. But a standalone prize for biochemistry was not there. That is when I started talking to DGST, and I started talking to Madam, and I talked to Nima, and I said that okay. And that's when, with of course a lot of goodwill from my husband, we have now instituted the Dr. Sucheta Dandekar Prize for a student who will stand first in MBBS in biochemistry.
Oh, that's news. I didn't know about that. That's really, really great.
So it will sort of be instituted now. And I think last year the first student got it. And it was announced online.
Okay.
So of course, but so that is the small thing that I could do as far as the department is concerned. And yes, and one thing I just later on, as coming back to the education process, I forgot to mention that Supe has been a role model in a way, And we finished FEMA, we came back from FEMA, and we were sort of then we were also doing FEMA here.
Yes.
The GSMC FEMA regional institute was there. Correct. So it got instituted in 2005, and I have been a member ever since then, a faculty. And we celebrated 10 years of FEMA also with great enthusiasm. And once I finished, after 3 years, I felt I should have a degree in education. That's when Supe has a degree in education. Okay. You will think that I'm just trying to copy him, but maybe I didn't want to do that. But I wanted to do a master's in health professions education. And that time the International Fellowship of Medical Education was there. Otherwise, there's no way I could afford myself to pay that kind of fee. It is in dollars and so much. So I said I want to apply. That time Dr. Oak was there, and Supe was dean at Sion Hospital. So one letter Dr. Oak gave me and one letter Supe gave me to apply for the IFME. And I applied for that international fellowship in medical education. And because I got that fellowship, that helped me to do the Masters in Health Professions Education free. So I could do that at the Keele University, UK. And yes, so that's how I got the MHP, and that is how I could whatever I can do now, I could do. And now I am global faculty with FEMA. So I am global faculty with FEMA Philadelphia. And I am enjoying myself because, of course, the time difference. So I do this in the evenings. All the meetings and all are held. The sessions are held in the evenings. But it's keeping me busy. So now for the last, since 2019, I have been faculty with FEMA Philadelphia as a global faculty.
So you are living the idiom that a teacher is always a student.
Yes.
And learning.
Yes. Yes.
We've been talking academics, we've been talking a lot of other cultural stuff like Shidori and all, but what about Avishkar?
Oh yes! Oh my God! Avishkar and who was the... Which was this? Was it 75 years? We celebrated it in that railway workshop. Who was it? I remember Abhay Darvi and me being part of it. Part of it means I needed some, not that I have any gender bias, but Abhay was the fellow who could sort of,
it used to be an intercollegiate
Avishkar was there.
Festival.
Along with Avishkar, we had some celebrations, I think 75 years celebration something, where we had it out in that
outside the
center.
campus.
Yeah, so we had to wait till the last light went off. Avishkar we had here, and I was vice president for Avishkar for many, many years, And I remember sitting here till the very end, until the very last light went off. But the noise, the students will be students, and they would always have a lot of noise. And I don't know who complained we had all the police permissions and all in place, but there must have been some resident or someone who complained, and the Naigaon police station came with a jeep, and they were there at about 10:30 in the night, and they said, "Hey, koni sahi ke liye paper?" Because I had signed, and I think it was either Abhay, no, it was Amita Joshi, I think, along with me. So, or I don't know who was that time the signatory, but we were there together. And the police came to tell us. And I said, look, I'm sorry, the students will stop, but I have to now go to all the stages and tell them that, the police have come. So, atta chatta tumhe band kara. And because the complaint is there in Naigaon, you have to come with us now to go and sign one more paper. So I said, can I not come tomorrow? He says, no, nothing doing. I mean, you have to come today. So in the first time in my life ever, I actually sat in a police jeep with the siren going. As if I was some
VIP?
Not VIP, as if I was a culprit. And I went all the way to the Naigaon police station, and I signed all the papers, and I said, sorry, here's a parat kar di, hona nahi. But same story repeated every year, but fortunately, I think we were in the good books of each new police inspector that came on. So this episode of being taken in a jeep never happened again. Small episodes like this, and we also learn from experience. We learn from all that we go through. I remember there were some students, as part of Avishkar, floated balloons, air balloons, with KM on them into the air. Those huge air balloons, na? And I didn't know that the airspace is also the corporation's, and you have to take permission from the corporation to put that up in the air.
Yes, it's government space.
Yeah.
Yes. You can't do that.
We didn't know that. And you don't know the head office people, the PROs, and so many people came here and says, what is happening? And that is when I was so afraid, and I didn't know what to do. But here I am telling you, I mean, I have signed, I have said this can happen, and those sponsors were also, because down and above on the KM, that company's name also was there. So, and the students needed the money to put this program going on. So they were saying, madam, paisa to chahiye. So what to do? And that is when we had to sort of, say, nothing doing, we have to return your money. And we will return your money, and we don't want to. If we're doing something wrong, we have to accept that we're doing something wrong. And ye aapka paisa le jaiye, this is not money that we want. And then, of course, they gave 50% of the money, but they agreed that, I said, for an institution, you can't do it. But all said and done, the deans have all stood by me and stood by this madnesses also that happened, where there were mistakes made. But no one said, Sucheta, itna bhi akal nahi tha ki ye aisa nahi ho sakta. No one ever said that to me. They said, doesn't matter, such things happen. Abhi kadla na te sagla, te bhuge kadun ge lokar adi. Te titun sagla kadun ge, then say now kadun tak, and that's fine. So I feel so blessed that at least that happened.
Would you like to tell us something about your experience when you took over the responsibility of looking after PBCF?
Oh yes, the Poor Box Charity Fund. That time, I think there was no secretary. There was no position like a secretary at that time. And there was the dean and the deputy dean who used to look after PBCF. So they were the two sutradharas of the whole thing. But I don't know which dean, must have been Shivsagar madam, who felt that there has to be someone who could liaison between the donation and all that is one thing, which the deputy dean would look after. The signatories would be the deputy dean and the dean. That responsibility, they did not sort of say, we don't want to do anything like that. They sort of respected that thing. But they felt that they needed a liaison between the people who are using the PPCF and the donors and the donations. So that is when they felt that there has to be one secretary that is there, who will look after all this. And that is when I became secretary of PPCF. And there was a lot of, this was I think when Dr. Dandekar was there, or maybe before that, the secretary was named. And then Shirsagar madam sort of tried to streamline each and every procedure that was there. The process of buying material and how to do it. And we sort of had a good algorithm made as to how it could be done. And then Oak Sir's time, we started having common tenders and proper systems in place where all the systems were there and they were followed nearly as per municipal corporation rules. So these systems sort of helped us, I think, to have PBCF in still a position where many donations come in and a lot of patients benefit from it, from the donations that come in. In fact, I remember many of my family members also would give me money and say, "Te tu तर काहीतरी आहे ना तुझं, त्याच्यात हे पैसे ठेव." फूल ना फुलाची पाकळी. It was not something to boast of, but there were so many people who gave me that money, and we would just make a receipt saying for any patient who the doctor may feel this. So they were never donations that were patient specific, but they were donations generally made to the PPCF. And I remember my brother, me, every time the death anniversary of my in-laws or my parents, we would do that as far as the PPCF was concerned. So it sort of started a trend also in my family where we used the PPCF for our purpose, and it was so good because none of us, I think, not my maternal, my side of the family, but the Dandekars were never ever ritualistic. They never had, in fact, we never even had an idol till my daughter reached the first MBBS. So there was nothing in the house, but they always, believed in giving, doing by example. And that is what helped us, and the PPCF staff has always been very meticulous in their work, and as far as the audit also was concerned, we did things. And yes, I enjoyed my stint as the secretary, but it was a lot of work and a lot of figures are beyond responsibility. But fortunately, I didn't have to look at because figures are beyond me. I'm absolutely stupid at such things. So I didn't have to look at all that. The CA and these other people were doing it. I only had to streamline the process. So, and that is what
funds get used up.
And no, not even the use of the funds I didn't have to do. That there was the other people who did all that. The departments, the people who brought in the donation, and the other people.
Okay.
I only had to streamline the process of what is the equipment, who is doing it, is there a Z kit or a Y kit or what kind of a kit, and how is it being disseminated and given to the people. That is all I had to do. So it's been a good journey as far as PPCF is also concerned. And lastly, I think I would like to talk about the good times we had in the department. The you remember you wrote that paper on, you along with Deshmukh sir and we wrote that paper on history of biochemistry. So,
Yes.
I think we really loved our subject. we were totally in love with it. And that is when we wrote a paper on the history of biochemistry and sort of...
It got published in the Journal of Postgraduate Medicine.
Yeah, the
Because
JPJ.
they wanted an essay on biochemistry, and then
Yes.
we wrote it together.
We wrote it together. And Deshmukh sir also was one of our contributors. So the three of us wrote that. And the tea club, I would like to mention. I would like, every Saturday. That's one thing. Let us tell all our secrets. Saturday used to be a half day. And invariably, our alternate anatomy would have one year Saturday. The next year, biochemistry and physiology would have Saturday on Monday. And we would be working Saturdays. And the practicals and all would go on till 2:33. And most of the time, everyone wanted to go home and eat, have lunch. So no one was ready to sort of eat here and go. But that is what started, I think, Poddisar's time only, he had started it. We had a Saturday brunch. In between, there used to be a break, I think 11 o'clock.
What
between
would
the
happen
lectures.
is that before this system started, we would take permission to go in when the practicals are going on and eat at about 1 o'clock, turn by turn. And Potnis sir said, you can't leave the lab when the practicals are going on. So we need to find a solution to this, and that is when the brunch started. In order to
stop people going to have lunch during the practicals, and take turns and go leaving the lab, it was started. And so between 11 and 11:30 there was an official break, where the students also got a break, a bathroom break or a tea break or whatever you may call it. So officially there was nothing on. So at that time, one person from the department would decide what to bring for the faculty. And it used to be slowly, it accelerated into my Saturday ka brunch acha ki tera Saturday ka brunch acha.
Previously, we would cook and bring it from home, and the male staff members had to tell their wives to cook for them. So we thought that was unfair. So then it was a competition. And then we decided, no, we order. So one person bears the cost every time. And we were 16 of us when we started it. So you would get your turn once after 15 turns. 50, so it was all right. And then people who came, visitors or anybody who came at that time, they were surprised, you're having you're having brunch. And we would say, oh, come, there's enough. And so certain people knew that on Saturday, if they come at that particular time, they're going to get brunch.
They are going to get so people would sort of set an appointment saying, no, we will come during your break time. So that is the Saturday brunches are, I remember very fondly. And then the tea. And so we've had our good times, haven't we?
Good times.
So I cannot thank Lopa Madam and Manu Kothari Chair for giving us this opportunity to go down memory lane. And oh my God, this is such a nice, happy feeling that I'm going away with. And thank you so much. And thank you, Geeta, for agreeing to be here with me. Geeta and I go a long way, and I think even our parents knew each other.
Yes.
So we are sort of partners in crime.
That is
and partners in the good also.
The good times and the bad times.
And the good times and the bad times.
Thank you, Sucheta, so much. But I would like to request your permission to put this up on YouTube.
Yes,
As
yes,
and
yes, of
when.
course.
Of course, the edited form will be shown to you before we do that. Do we have your permission?
Yeah, of course, of course.
And all said and done with all the academics and the PBCF and everything, I think I should add something, that she was a style icon in KM, and we used to look forward that now the next day, what is she going to wear around her neck? What is she going to wear in her ear? And of course, I was one who never wore any jewelry, and I should confess I started wearing a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. And you've heard the laugh, of course. So these two things. And we will say bye to everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lopa Madam, for being here with us today. And thank you, Sucheta.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and for guiding us through this. Maitre is the absolute support and the pillar.
Supply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.